Hi, this is Victor Vogel again, author of Creating a Bad Guy Free Zone While Traveling. In this video, we're going to be covering, in this series, we're going to be covering documentation. And we're going to talk about document protection and security. We're going to talk about your itinerary and registering that itinerary with the State Department. We'll talk a little bit about the need for prescription and medication protection. Emergency code words, security items that you might want to pack and some you may not want to pack, GPS tracking and monitoring, laws and regulations and customs of foreign countries, medical protection and insurance coverage for catastrophic events, and emergency information such as emergency phone numbers for foreign countries. They're not all 911. Hospitals close to your lodging or places you will visit to include the rating of that hospital. Your nearest trauma center, and you need to become familiar with how law enforcement operates and their procedures for dealing with crimes in their locations close to you. We need to leave a copy of all this information with trusted friends. Now, if you travel frequently, this information only needs to be altered for things like different locations you travel to or situations you might change, like different medications you might need. Let's begin with essential documents you will need and how to secure them and protect yourself with these documents. First, the most relevant documents you will want to take on your trip with you are, and you're probably familiar with these, your passport, obviously. You're traveling internationally. Driver's license. Medical records to include prescriptions, allergic documentation, or bracelet information, doctor's name and emergency contact number. List of credit card and debit cards to include the name of the financial institution, the way your name is listed on the account number, card number, and customer service phone number, and your itinerary. So let's get started. First, you'll need to make your 4 copies of all this documentation we have covered thus far. You need to select 2 close friends of your family you trust implicitly and provide each of the 2 people a copy of your records in a sealed envelope with your signature across the seal. Leave the envelope and a set of instructions on what to do in the case of an emergency. These people should have no need to open the document package unless they receive instruction from you or they perceive a critical emergency and they need to contact you or try to find you. For example, if a terrorist attack happens in your location and they cannot reach you by phone, they could open the package and see the hospitals and police numbers you listed and begin checking with these locations. This comes in very handy if you're robbed or lose your passport, driver's license, or credit card, and you're not at a location where you can reach your backup package you took with you. You could call your trusted friends, and they could fax or email you copies of whatever you lost. Trusted friends can also save you hassle if you're in a situation where you cannot get to your documents or you need to cancel your cards. Your package should also contain personal data about yourself. You should have a current headshot, both front and side view. Your social security number should be in there, your date of birth, the names of living family and parents and siblings and in-laws. Most of the time, the documents you collect can be used time after time as you travel both domestically and internationally. Take 2 packages of the documents with you. Wherever you stay, even just overnight, place 1 package in the hotel safe at the front desk and keep the other package safely secured in the room. If something happens to you, this will allow the police to get to the packages and find out more information to help them recover you if necessary. Let's talk about your itinerary. Leave your full itinerary with your trusted friends. Notify your friends of any changes. Go online and download the State Department's app. You can find it at step.state.gov/step. I will place this link in the blog page in the description section on YouTube video. Then register your trip through the app or online with the State Department. This is very easy to do. Also, create an account with the State Department. Review the relevant information about the country in which you're traveling. This information may contain terrorist threats, disease warnings, severe weather warnings, and civil unrest. Pay close attention to these warnings. Make a list of the embassy you will be near and the names of the key officials for that embassy. Also, make note of the phone number and document their phone number in your cell phone. Now, from a medical standpoint, make sure you have a 3-month supply of all your prescriptions with you. Also, check to see how additional medications could be obtained in the country you're visiting. Also, make sure your doctor has on file a letter authorizing him to release your medical records in the event you need the information shared with a doctor in a foreign country. If you have access to electronic records of your health, make sure the username and password are part of the documentation you leave with your friends and put in your package. This all seems like overkill, but in a severe situation, it makes an attending physician task much easier and could eliminate potential mistakes in medical care for a serious injury or illness. Emergency code words, let's talk about those. In the unlikely event you find yourself in a kidnap or hostage situation, you should create a code word and make it part of your package for your trusted friends. This code word would only be used if you were taken against your will. Now, from a tracking standpoint or GPS standpoint is the best way to do this. It is highly recommended that American citizens keep some sort of tracking device with them whenever they are leaving their accommodations and turn it on. I recommend a separate tracking device from the cell phone since that will be one of the first things a kidnapper will take from you. This device should be accessible all over the world, have long battery life, and be small enough to conceal on your person. The device should be able to send an alert like a text message or email to your trusted friend when you turn it on or off. Keep your device charged at all times. Find a convenient place on your body to keep the device on you. But somewhere most criminals or terrorists would not search immediately like a sock or underwear. Now, in terms of regulations for foreign countries, make sure you understand the laws and regulations of your foreign company. In many cases, you can find this information on your State Department app, along with travel warnings for the country you will be visiting. Many countries do not have personal rights we U.S. citizens have. Remember, you're a guest in the host country. Now, what should you pack in terms of security items? Let's begin with items you shouldn't pack. Don't pack guns or weapons, okay? Unless you're authorized to carry it in that country or you happen to be hunting, and follow all the rules and regulations for that country. No tasers, pepper sprays, knives, or other items that could be considered illegal in that country. You can pack battery-operated alarms for your hotel room door as long as you can get past TSA and they pass that inspection. I found carrying 2 rubber door stops can be the best protection you have in a hotel room. Just slide them up under the door about 1.5 feet or 2 feet apart. If you plan on purchasing self-defense devices in a host country, make sure that country allows you to have them. You find yourself in deep trouble if you don't. Pack electrical adapters so you can adapt your devices to the current power for that country. Make sure you keep all your cell phones, iPads, and computers charged regularly. Make sure you have on your person emergency phone numbers, also phone numbers for the police and rescue teams. This will provide you the basic documentation for remaining secure and make coping with any emergency far easier and far more effective. I'm sure you might think of more ideas. Being prepared eliminates panic during unexpected threats. Once again, in my book, Creating a Bad Guy Free Zone While You Travel, it provides the information you need in a checklist format, much like airline pilots use a pre-flight checklist, to make sure all this documentation and all the processes for handling the documentations are handled in advance of you making your trip. Trust me, it will make your life so much easier in the event of a situation. Now, the likelihood is you will never have to use them, and that would be great. And I will tell you right now that nothing is 100% guarantee that you won't encounter a violent situation or a disaster situation. I mean, there's no guarantee for that. But I do know being prepared in advance can eliminate a whole lot of problems, save time, and in dire situations where you might be hurt severely, provide you what you need to have to be effective. The last thing I want to cover is insurance. When you're traveling, you need to make sure your insurance coverage that you currently have with your company or your personal insurance covers all that you need to have and all that you might anticipate when you're traveling in a foreign country. There are a lot of situations, and the London terrorist attack is a real example of that, where people got hurt and they may be in that hospital in London for a month or 2 months or more, and your local insurance company may not cover that kind of severe disastrous situation. And there are companies who will supplement that kind of insurance coverage for you while you're traveling. For example, if you had to be airvac back to the United States from the hospital you were in to a hospital in the United States and require medical treatment along that airvac, so an extremely costly situation, it would just about bankrupt most Americans who are traveling. These insurance companies, there are insurance companies that have, they're listed in my book where you can find them, like SOS. And with these insurance companies, they provide this catastrophic supplemental coverage. It's not horrendously expensive, and no, you may pay for it. It's like any insurance. You may pay for it and probably I'll never use it, but if you ever do, it's extremely helpful to have it. So don't go traveling overseas or anywhere outside of your country until you check and see what kind of potential insurance is available to you. And I also want to reiterate, sign up with that State Department app that I will provide you some information about. And you in the description, you will find this information very, very helpful on an ongoing basis. It gives you information that helps you plan, and it also gives you information while you're in country in case you need to handle. And that app provides access to your embassy in a lot of situations where you might need them. So I would like to make sure you handle that part of this security process as soon as possible before traveling. Now, that pretty much covers just the basic outlines. I'm sure there are more things that you can think of or you may want to add to my list, and that's the whole idea of the list. It gives you a good basic starter to get started, and many of these things people do not think about. They just do not think about. They take for granted because nothing's ever happened to them. The fact is, it could happen to you. And the people in London who went through the London Bridge terrorist attack and the surrounding areas now probably feel like that could happen to them. And I doubt seriously the foreigners who travel that country will travel anywhere else again without some sort of protection that we're discussing and some sort of protection relative to their documentation. It just you can remember from the news clips the people that were going nuts trying to find their relatives because they didn't know any hospitals to call. They just didn't know where to go. And they got a hotline, thank God, and that's good. but you could get a lot more information quicker outright out front before they release that hotline if you had hospital numbers and police numbers to call if you are a family friend. So there you go. This is the information there. Until the next time when we're going to be talking about protection and security of transportation, this is Victor Vogel, and just realize I'm out there creating bad guy free zones.